At this forecast, we put it all together for you. There's, we know some uncertainty still in who exactly gets the biggest snowfall, but there's that potential for some real heavy snow watching across southeastern Nebraska into Iowa, a couple of zones to see the heavy snowfall, and then we see it all the way up into southern Wisconsin and into Michigan, lower Michigan. You guys could get some bigger snow out of this as well. Friday forecast. Now, Jordan just talked about places like Denver, but look at Kansas City. You're one of those on the zone forecasts. You're in the rain, you do some mixing. Do you ever get into all snow? Not likely to get much out of this for you in Kansas City, but places like Omaha and Des Moines, you are in the snow. You're going to be shoveling. Looking at Iowa City and Davenport, this is your Saturday morning. You're going to be watching that snowfall. Hopefully you have a cup of hot chocolate, maybe a fire in the fireplace. Madison, Milwaukee, you've got some snowfall coming your way Saturday into Saturday night, and then it does transition into lower Michigan, Grand Rapids and points northbound. We'll be looking at you. Now, Kansas City mentioned, do we spend enough time in snow to really get a lot? Probably not. And you notice that when it really gets cold, well, Saturday night, then we start to see those clearing skies. So I don't think going to get a lot out of this in places like Kansas City. Des Moines, we've got a better shot. We spend Friday into Friday night and Saturday in the snowfall. Temperatures will be cold enough. And then Milwaukee, we've got that snow chance as well, Saturday into Saturday night. Milwaukee, we've only had 0.3 inches of snow, not even a half inch. You've not even shoveled yet this year. And we're behind because our average snow to date, Jordan, is 5.1 inches of snow.
Yep.
Let's look at the Northeast snowfall, Steph. Is this going to reach I-95 is a question a lot of you have, especially anyone traveling today. Philadelphia, this looks awful close, doesn't it? New York City, not that far away. So let's focus in on that. We talked this morning about where it is snowing right now, like in Buffalo and Syracuse and in Wilkes-Barre and Scranton. Now, right now it is just cloudy and it is cool, but not super cold in New York City. We're 34. Temperatures aren't going to change that much today. So that's a problem, right? We bring in the moisture. This is one model. This is the HRRR, the high resolution model that we like to look at to see, how is precip going to move and evolve through the day. It has some snow chances, but doesn't produce a lot here. The European model has some snow chances, produces a little bit more actually when you take a look at the forecast. This is 1 o'clock this afternoon, brings some snowfall chances in. Hartford, Bridgeport, even New York City, you have a chance. Boston, a chance. Now, don't get too excited. If you're a snow lover and you want to go out and you want to, go out and play in the snow, this is not going to be that kind of snow. But this is the kind of snow that could be really disruptive to travel because it'll just be a little bit. The timing will be when there's a lot of people on the roadways. So watching out for places like Philly and New York City, it's going to likely be a mix of rain and snow, not a pure snow, a dusting sort of worst case scenario. But reduced visibility is possible. And of course, bridges, overpasses, Steph, you know how it goes. They could be slick. The players, but the parents, they're going to be cold out there if you're watching any soccer games. All right, right now, 50 past the hour, we're going to always answer your weather wisdom questions. So let's get right to it. Today's question comes from Brian, and he asks, in winter, why is it often colder on sunny days than cloudy ones? I know it seems counterintuitive, but it happens all the time in the wintertime. And so let's talk about it. It has to do with where most of our air masses come from in the wintertime and what brings in the warm air. So low pressure systems actually out ahead of them is where we see the warm air come from. Winds coming in out of the south, and that often happens out ahead of a low pressure system. But with the low pressure system, you've got our fronts, lots of lifting mechanisms, things to make the air rise and get clouds going, and sometimes precipitation. So you got to look for where is the clear air. Well, that comes in with the high pressure system way up there. And that high pressure system, where did it come from? Well, that came from whether it's Canada or the poles. Yes, it is colder air that is coming in with it. This is where you have the sinking air underneath that high pressure. This is where you have the sunshine. Sinking air suppresses rising air, so you're not going to get the clouds to form. You are going to see the sunny skies and the dry conditions underneath the high pressure, but it happens to also be where the cold air is going to be. So high pressure, center of an air mass, a polar air mass. As we get into this weekend, we've got cold air coming down, Minneapolis, Chicago, Kansas City, only in the 30s as we look at this forecast. In a typical situation, when you've got the warm air mass to the south and then the colder one to the north, you've got a front in between, we're going to see that. We see that actually by tomorrow, where temperatures warming up across the southeast. That's why you have those temperatures in the 60s this weekend in places like Memphis and Nashville and Atlanta and Savannah. But then the cold air mass mass comes in behind it, and you'll see that dropping on down, watching those temperatures drop off behind it. New York City, we get into the warm side of things. We see that by this weekend. Look at this, heading up into the mid-50s here for December weekend in New York City. Keep those questions coming. Some more snow back into this area. We've got that chance as we get into this next storm. As Jordan talked about, it starts in the Rockies, but then quickly moves out into the plains and the Midwest. And this is where we could see some heavier amounts of snowfall. We'll tap into some Gulf moisture. It'll come all the way up in the cold air. We're going to see snow falling, the kind you have to plow, the kind you have to shovel, the kind that's going to disrupt your travel into this weekend. We'll time it out, and it starts on Friday, moving east out of Colorado into parts of Nebraska and Kansas. And then by the time we get into Friday night, we're watching cities like Kansas City. You're one of the tough ones. You're one of the trouble spots there because you're right on that line. Is it going to be rain? Is it going to be snow? Is it going to be a mix? And then when it changes over to snow, how much time do you spend in snow? That's going to be one of the problem spots, if you will. Iowa City, Davenport, you're a little more all snow kind of event for you. Chicago, though, you're another trouble spot. You're one where you'll start as rain, you'll mix in with some snowflakes, but then how much time will you get to spend in all snow? Kansas City, here's how it plays out for you. Rain to start, a chilly rain, 41 degrees. And then the changeover happens while you're sleeping. You wake up, it's snowing, but then things are wrapping up for you. The dry air is coming in as the really cold air comes into Kansas City. Des Moines, it's all snow. It starts on Friday, continues Friday night. We're down into the 20s. The snow is falling and then continuing into Saturday before it moves out. Milwaukee, we are all snow. Snow coming down starting on Saturday, continuing into Saturday night. We haven't had much this season, less than a ½ inch. There's been no shoveling. There's been no clearing your car of snow so far this season in Milwaukee, but this will do it. Chicago, for us, we've got that chance of snow as well. We've barely had an inch of snow in Chicago, but you know what? It's mainly rain. It's mainly mixed with rain. I don't think right now, based on what we're seeing, that we'll get a lot of accumulation. But, you know, we know how things could certainly change, Jordan. So watching the timing of this one closely.
Especially.
Who's ready for this? The surf is up in Northern California. Surfers ride massive swells at the Mavericks in Half Moon Bay, just outside of San Francisco. Boards dotting each set of waves rolling in. Well, you can barely see them, these big waves, right? About 15 footers pound the Bay Area coastline, and there is a high surf advisory in effect this morning. This is dangerous, this is stunning, this is wild. I asked Jordan, our resident surfer, you know, how long do you get to ride a wave like this? And he said, well, 15 seconds would be good, but it's probably a lot less than that. Actually, you're not spending a lot of time out here. But he also said, it feels like a long time. So enjoy, ride the wave, as they say. Welcome back into AMHQ as you ride this wave into Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno alongside meteorologist Jordan Steele, Stephanie Abrams, who is broadcasting from her home today. Last weekend, it was Winter Storm Eartha, piling up the powder in the central part of the state and the country, causing some accidents. This is in the Northeast, causing some accidents and actually this car to slide off the interstate. So who will see more snow this weekend? Well, we're going to break down this forecast. In upstate New York, we have some snow this morning. It's happening out there right now with the flakes flying around in Ithaca, New York, making for a pretty scene, right? But also a very frigid walk for those heading out around town this morning. And I have yet to see a soul walking out here just yet. The snow coating the rooftops, coating some of the sidewalks and some of the roads as well. Northeast getting snow right now. There's another storm gearing up for the end of this week into the weekend. And then, Steph, as you know, there's another storm behind that for early next week. So we're busy.
Okay, right. So we're going to take them
50 past the hour here on AMHQ. We're going to share a little wisdom by answering your questions about the weather. Today's question comes from Brian, and he asks, in winter, why is it often colder on sunny days than on cloudy days? This is a really good question, Brian. And, you know, I know it's a little counterintuitive, but it kind of makes sense once you see what's happening in the atmosphere on these winter days. Why is it warmer on cloudy days? Well, what makes the clouds? What brings the clouds? A low pressure system. With a low pressure system, you're going to have that warm air coming up out ahead of it. So if you're on the east side, a lot of times you will have warmer air, yes, but you also have the cloudy conditions. The cold air comes in on the back edge of it underneath the high pressure, which is way up there. So the low pressure, all the air is coming together. And when you have air coming together, that's rising air. And rising air causes clouds and precipitation. And it happens to, you know, with the air coming in to this whole system, allow it to warm up. So you've got it all. The warm air, you've got the clouds, you've got the precip. But then underneath the high pressure, where we have the sinking air and the sunshine and the clear skies, sinking air is actually suppressing anything from rising, so you're not going to get any clouds. But high pressure is the center of an air mass. And behind these wintertime fronts and lows, you've got cold air masses coming on in, so the air is really cold. So where we end up with the sunshine is where the cold air is. They just match right up. And so you can see at Minneapolis, it's going to be cold. Sunday, we've got 32 degrees, but it's going to be sunny. And then meanwhile, you've got 64 degrees in Atlanta and 50 in Dallas, but it's going to be cloudy and rainy. And so you can see how that kind of works out. So as you look ahead to this forecast, you can see that cold high that starts settling in behind our jet stream, and we push all of that warmer air off to the east. Places like New York City, we get stuck in the warm air for a couple of days. No cold high pressure for us until we get to next week. We're going to see temperatures rising up into the mid-50s. Keep those questions. Could be Wyoming or Montana, but no, yes, Illinois, and yes, we could get some more snow right there. Look at this forecast. We've got a very snowy one for you coming in this weekend with the next system. Picking up where Jordan left off, the system comes out of Colorado, ejects out into Kansas and Nebraska, and then tapping into a little more moisture. We have more snow potential in Iowa, in northern Illinois, in southern Wisconsin, watching for that Friday into Friday night. So places like Kansas City, you guys are in that tough zone, that transition zone where you'll start as rain, you'll mix with snow, you'll finish with some snow, but you may not spend all that much time in snow, so probably not getting a ton of snowfall for you. When the low really gets going and strengthening, and we have all the moisture and we have all the cold air, places like Iowa City, we'll keep watch on Cedar Rapids, Dubuque. We're watching for you that snowfall continuous throughout the event. So you guys are going to be adding up even more. Milwaukee and Madison, all snow for you with this event. Chicago, you're a trouble spot. You're one of those spots starting as rain, mixing in with snow, and then how much time do you actually change over into snowfall? Probably not that much. Kansas City for us, you can see how it plays out with a cold rain on Friday, mixing in with snow overnight, and temperatures really not dropping below freezing until we get into Saturday when the dry air comes in. So not worried about a lot of accumulation there based on the track right now of how we think the storm will go. Des Moines, all snow. Friday night, and Saturday, all snow for you. Milwaukee, we've got all snow Saturday and Saturday night. We've barely had a half inch into Milwaukee. You haven't shoveled yet. You're going to do it with this event. Our average snow to date is 5 inches, so we're actually a little behind so far for the season, Jordan.
Well, let's pile it up.
Surf's up, dude. I mean, look at this. We've got, in Northern California, surfers riding massive swells at the Mavericks in Half Moon Bay, just outside of San Francisco. Boards dotting each set of waves rolling in as 15-footers pound the Bay Area coastline. A high surf advisory is in effect this morning. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Look at this. I asked Jordan, our resident surfer, how much time are you actually up on a wave like this? He said, you'd love if you could be up for 15 seconds. But you take 5 or 6 seconds easily, but it feels like forever to surf in the wave, as they say. As you surf the wave into this Wednesday, welcome back into AMHQ. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno, alongside meteorologist Jordan Steele and Stephanie Abrams, who is broadcasting from home today. Last weekend, we had Winter Storm Eartha piling up some powder in a central part of Connecticut, causing some accidents, and this car, you can see that, to go right off the road in Vernon. So will this area see more snow this weekend? We're going to break down the forecast. Now, upstate New York, we've got the flakes flying right now. This is Ithaca. Snow is coming down. You can see it kind of fluttering down to the ground, flocking the trees out here, covering everything, and it's cold. So it's a frigid walk for anyone out around town this morning here. Also, we've got some snow in other parts of the state as well in the Northeast, and we've got another system that will eventually track up through the Great Lakes. Does it get us here in the Northeast? Well, Steph, we just got to get through today, right, first?
Yeah, so
first 2 storms, actually. One today in the Northeast, another one coming into the next couple of days from the Southwest to the Midwest. And then it does get sunny for some of you. And you might be asking this very same question that Brian is asking in today's Weather Wisdom. He asks, in winter, why is it often colder on sunny days than cloudy days? Good question. And it actually might be counterintuitive that it happens this way, but it often does. Not all the time, as you know how life works, but often in the wintertime, you get these low pressure systems, and they come in. Ahead of it, the warm air is there. It's coming in, your temperatures are warming up. But the thing about a low pressure is you've got this air moving up towards the fronts, in towards the fronts, and then air is forced to rise because it's all coming together. And rising air, you know what that does? creates clouds and rain. So a low pressure system, not only out ahead of it will bring the warm air, but it also will bring the clouds and bring the rain showers. So then the cold air comes in behind that, underneath the high pressure. A high pressure is really just the center of an air mass. And in the wintertime, we get these cold air masses. Underneath the high pressure, you've got sinking air, and sinking air suppresses any air from rising, so you don't get any clouds. You get the sunshine here. And underneath these clear skies, on days with these clear skies, happens to be some pretty cold days because this high pressure is the center of a cold air mass. We're going to see it this weekend. Case in point, Minneapolis 32, Chicago 31. That's where the cold air is going to be, underneath the high pressure. Now, out ahead of it, you will get some warming, and we'll really feel it in places like Memphis. You saw your forecast, Atlanta, all the way up into the Northeast. We're going to get that warming air before the cold high pressure moves in. So St. Louis here comes first all the way through the starts of the weekend, temperatures 60s and 50s, and then the cold high pressure comes in. Wait for your sunshine by Monday, but temperatures only in the 40s for highs. Keep those questions